nobody complained about how much it cost or how many resources were devoted to it.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I think even Detroit was one, and that's not the wealthiest city on earth.
Right. Well, Detroit, I can understand, is a car industry center.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so okay, yeah, and also when you talk about as long as Trump is a president, we're probably going to see that every year in D.C., which is fantastic. And talk about the 2028 presidency. So, what do you think that they're going to put whom on the role? Mark Rubio or J.D. Vance?
I don't know. It could be either one. So
I
far, I
think.
think
Mhm.
J.D. Vance has Trump's support, let's say.
Uh-huh.
Not a full endorsement yet, but it's his support. And
Uh-huh.
I think, but on the other hand, Marco Rubio is doing great things, and he's highly respected even within the Democratic Party. So
Right.
he refuses to say anything bad about. They both are not campaigning against each other at this point. They're doing their
Right.
jobs, and
Uh-huh.
it's pretty interesting to see that. So that'll depend. We won't know probably for another year who's going to actually be the front runner, who's going to end up being their nominee on the Republican side.
Yeah, I think they, just like you said, they both are fantastic candidates. They both are great and American first and make American great again. I think they are good candidates. So we're in good hands,
I think
hopefully.
so. I agree.
Yeah, that's great. So let's start our program. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is August 25th, and here comes my dear friend, Tom. Tom, welcome, and so nice to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Sure. Yeah. So, Tom, just like we said last week, that we're probably going to have some huge things happened during this week. Exactly. We see some big thing. One of the biggest event I thought is the Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. He actually announced Operation Economic Outcast yesterday, and I think it's huge. It's huge. So before we start the program, I'd like to introduce Tom to my audience. Tom worked in FBI for 30 years. Thank you so much for your service, Tom. And yeah, sure. And also, he worked as assistant director of FBI for 5 years, in charge of some very, very significant, important issues. And he's retired now. And again, thank you so much for spending time with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So, talk about Secretary Bessent. He actually gave a speech yesterday for 8 minutes, not long, but I think is huge. So, what do you think about that? I noticed that there's a three parts involved in this operation, which is State Department, Department of Law, Department of War, and the Treasury Department. So, my question is why we need Department of War to do this kind of economic operation.
I think that because of the resources that they have all over the globe and the relations that they have in all these countries all over the world. So I think that it's not to be counted out, I guess, is the reason.
Okay. So it meaning it's not only the economic operation, it's involved the war.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the outcomes? Do you think Iran can do anything about that, or they just going to be destroyed by this
Well,
action?
they're not destroyed yet. I think they continue to be hurt but go on and launch missiles and do whatever they can to
Mhm.
disrupt even their so-called allies in their neighborhood. So I think that, I think Iran is not to be counted out. And there are still a lot of people that are saying it still may take a military solution to
Mhm.
finish off Iran. That
Mhm.
these, starving the population of Iran doesn't seem to bother leadership in Iran. They don't
Mhm.
worry about it. They don't care about their people anyway in the first place.
Mhm.
So, so the question is going to be, is it going to be enough, and are they going to need more?
Right.
More
So,
in terms of the actual military,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, boots
Mm-hmm.
on the ground
Mm-hmm.
in Iran.
Mm-hmm. So you mean that even we starting to cut off every channel of their money, they still can sustain. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so far they're hanging in there, even with our sanctions and even cutting off their income based on freezing the oil exports and
Mm-hmm.
exports coming in and out of and imports going in and out of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's still apparently military supplies going into the country from
Mm-hmm.
China or Russia or some other countries.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the announcement today of
Mm-hmm.
Secretary Bessent that, all right, we're going to increase the economic damage that we're doing to Iran and
Mm-hmm.
step that up. And I think up till now, President Trump's been very reluctant to do more damage because at some point he's hoping that the public in Iran will take over, that they
Mm-hmm.
will make the regime change that's necessary,
Mm-hmm.
and that they will be in charge. And he doesn't want that country to be wiped out economically
Mm-hmm.
uh, when they take over.
Mm-hmm.
So this way, but it's prolonging, trying to do it in a gentle manner, is
Mm-hmm.
prolonging the lifeline of Iran
Mm-hmm.
for its people. And I think that's some of the difference. I think the public in the US is getting impatient with, well, maybe we stopped the bombing and stopped all of that kinetic warfare too soon and
Mm-hmm.
let Iran hang in there, which they have done. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Trump seems very confident about how we're going about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when he's confident, it means that I think he knows things we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just like you said, President Trump seems showing some mercy for the people in Iran. But for the Iran regime, they do not buy this mercy, and they use this mercy as their benefits. So uh, let's talk about another question. So, do you think we need mercy when we involve a war to the enemy?
Well, there's only one real enemy in Iran, and at this point, it's the IRGC.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a position to suppress and do damage to the public
Mm-hmm.
and therefore the infrastructure of Iran. And when you look at the rate of inflation there or their currency, the rial, how
Right.
how damaged it is and devalued against the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Trump is trying to show mercy on the people,
Right.
not necessarily the regime. And
Right.
I think he's hoping, I've seen several other channels over the weekend and recently that show that the many members of the public are going out in the street. They are protesting again against the regime.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen that for a while. We've seen when they've tried that the public, get gunned down by
Mm-hmm.
their military and their police.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe the public is finally saying we've had enough and we want to change our own regime. And I think that's what Trump's been trying to avoid is the U.S. making regime change to
Mm-hmm.
happen. He
Mm-hmm.
wants the Iranians to bring it about, then we can support them.
Right.
And that's why he's been reluctant to really destroy too much of their infrastructure in the
Mm-hmm.
meantime as part of the
Mm-hmm.
process.
Right. So this is what we want or wish to see that Iran people get up and then just turn off the regime. Um, they should. And then we have a saying that follow the money when you investigate something. And right now, I think the American need to do is cut the money. It's just like a Bessent announced this action. And also, as it well known that China is one of the Iran's biggest supporters, how significant a blow might this action deal to Iran? Any effect with China because China always support Iran. So if we want to cut the financial tie with Iran, So what China gonna be
Well,
effect?
right now, the damage to China is cutting them off from their oil, except Trump
Mm-hmm,
has said, we have oil, we
mm-hmm,
have more than they have,
mm-hmm,
come to us. And I think we've seen that now in recent months where the US is oil dominant, gas dominant in the world.
mm-hmm,
And many other countries are now coming to the US to obtain oil,
mm-hmm,
obtain energy, obtain petroleum, propane gas, etc. So I think that that's what Trump is counting on is that they don't really need Iran and they need us, and
mm-hmm.
we'll be happy to help them out.
Okay. So this is just like doing business. China is a big buyer or one of the biggest buyer. And right now, China buy from Iran, and then Trump wants China to buy from us, from US. Is that a business story?
Yeah, he wants us to be the only available
Uh-huh.
source of what they need.
Okay.
So
Okay, so it's not like US does not want to do business with China. It's instead US wants to do more business with China, especially on the oil supply.
right.
Okay, so it's an economic calculation here.
These calculations are based more on, the state of their economy, the state of the situation there.
Hmm.
And the support of China for Iran is
Hmm.
not necessarily ideology. It's not
Hmm.
like if you remember in 1962,
Hmm.
when the Soviet Union was supporting Cuba
Hmm.
and bringing missiles into Cuba that would be within 100 miles of the U.S. border,
Hmm.
um, that was a big deal.
Hmm.
And really, eventually we cut that off. And we convinced the Soviet Union at the time, Nikita Khrushchev,
Hmm.
that we'll take our obsolete missiles out of Turkey that are
Hmm.
pointed at Moscow.
Hmm.
And we want you to take your missiles and components and soldiers out of Cuba.
Hmm.
And I think that the blockade that was done at the time and some of the other things, the Soviet Union realized that backing Cuba was a bad policy.
Hmm.
It was not going to benefit them in the long run. So it
Hmm.
had nothing to do with Cuba was a communist country.
Right.
Cuba looked up to the Soviets in their communist regime, all of that. All of
Hmm.
that goes out the window if it's not going to benefit your own country. And I
Hmm.
think that's what's happening here is that if China's support of the IRGC in particular,
Hmm.
um, if that doesn't really benefit China, they'll drop them because the
Hmm.
ideology isn't the same.
Hmm. Hmm.
Chinese aren't, Muslim directed or anything. The,
Hmm.
the Muslim population in China, the Uyghurs, are
Hmm.
being oppressed by the Chinese. So they're
Hmm.
not supportive of Islam or supporters of Islam. They're only supportive of what benefits their economy.
Right.
And right now, if they can't get the oil from Iran and
Hmm.
they're able to get it from us with no problem, then
Hmm.
that's where they'll get it.
Right. So if buying oil from US is a big deal, it's a good deal, why China always buying from Iran? Why they just come here and buy it? Why they you have two choices. One is buy from Iran, the other one is buy from US. Why don't they buy from us earlier?
I don't
Why?
know. I think it could be, they're not necessarily pro-Iran, but they're more pro-Iran than pro-US. So if they could get that from Iran
Mm-hmm.
and, travel a shorter distance to get to their refineries in China,
Mm-hmm.
um, then for them that they would rather do that than support us. But if the oil is not easily available anymore from
Mm-hmm.
Iran, then
Mm-hmm.
right now the number one source in the world, United States.
Mm-hmm.
And so suddenly their ideology isn't the same as supporting their economy themselves, their own economy.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like for China, it might be they have no choice but to purchase from us, from US.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a very interesting thought about that because there are so many readings about the action, the operation, meaning that the China will be hurt very badly because China is a big supporter. And then you mentioned another possibility is because China is hurting very badly, so they have to turn around to buy the oil from us, which is a benefit to our economy. So yes, this is another very smart way to do that. So we'll see. Okay, and another issue in happened in California, which is like banana republic right now. It's official that Stop Nick Shirley Act, AB 2624, is now law in California. So the law was created by the AG's wife, and after Shirley exposed the widespread fraud inside immigration communities in here in California, and now they want to silence the journalism and the citizens for looking into the potential fraud inside the immigration support service providers. It's crazy. And my question is, do you think this law is unconstitutional?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So in the long run, it's not going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And and you have basically the regime in California, Gavin Newsom and his senior staff and attorney generals and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
They operate like a communist country all by
Yes.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how long that lasts. Gavin Newsom is on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
And the governor's race is interesting. Steve
Mm-hmm.
Hilton is supposedly within 8 points in the polls. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
problem is the polls are almost always fiction,
Uh-huh.
especially in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you trust that? Is he 8 points down or
Mm-hmm.
18 points down or
Yep.
8 points up?
Yep.
We may not know till the day everybody votes in California.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what, Tom? I'm living in California for over 20 years, and I think I know that what people feel these days. Most of people, I can say most of people don't like Democrats because of their policy, because of their their life, the standard of their life is dramatically down. So my question is, in California, we know that they control the election. They just do some very bad thing to the election. So if the election is controlled by Democrats, how can we win? Even though that people don't support them. You know what I mean? They can
Well,
still.
first of all, it's going to take, trying to make the elections legitimate. And Supreme Court, Donald Trump issued the executive order several months ago
Mhm,
about mail-in ballots and some of those issues.
mhm,
And everybody thought, oh, that too bad. That's not going to be anything to worry about
uh-huh.
as far as the Democrats are concerned. And then the Supreme Court basically supported that.
Right.
Yeah, their decision yesterday
Yes.
supported Trump, and many
Mhm,
of these decisions are. So I think the day of illegal elections in California, especially run by the Democrats, I think those might be coming to an end. We'll have to see, but there's a lot of hopeful signs
mhm,
on the court rulings saying that, what Trump's trying to do with mail-in ballots and other issues are
mhm,
legitimate
mhm,
and
right.
should be upheld. So, if that's enough to make those elections more stable and more honest, we'll
Mhm,
see.
mhm. Well, this is our hope, and then I just God bless us. The,
Well, right now, that's better than having every court decision in the country go against the Republicans or against conservative values or any of that. So I
Mhm,
think that may be a big difference is that, we don't have quite the issue of support for every Democratic
mhm,
ruling,
mhm.
especially the way they do it now is the Democrats wait till after election day, see how
Mhm.
many votes were cast,
Yeah, right.
for their opponents, and then
Mm-hmm.
that tells them how many they need to steal and cheat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those days may be coming to a halt, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. And also, there is a saying or some reports from Michigan talking about what's the name of the guy, the Muslim guy?
Al
Al
Sayed.
Al Sayed. Don't like don't like the name, but anyway, there are a big question about his votes. It might be something wrong about his votes, meaning that should not be put in that position. And right now, I think the good sign, we're talking about the good sign, your friend, Mike Rogers, got a lot of supports all over Michigan. So what do you have saying about the situation here in Michigan?
I'm very hopeful that Mike Rogers is going to prevail and
Mhm.
be the first Republican senator elected in Michigan in, several years.
Right.
So we'll see. I think, a lot of people trying to start rumors about him. Like I said, he was a partner of mine in Chicago in the FBI in the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
And he investigated and brought down an enormous case against corrupt Democrats uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the mafia,
Right.
basically, in Chicago.
Right.
And after that case went down, a number of arrests were made, and the city of Cicero was being cleaned up, and some of the suburbs that supported the mob in Illinois. When that was happening, his mother was very involved in Republican politics in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So she told her son, Mike Rogers, basically, you've done a fantastic job. You made this big accomplishment, this enormous case, successful case. Come home and run for office. And so he went back to Michigan and
Listen to
got
mom.
elected to Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in Congress long enough eventually, to become a chairman, committee chairman.
Mm-hmm.
And, so he was very, very successful that way back
Mm-hmm.
in his home state of Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like I don't understand why Michigan becomes so liberal because it's a very
Part of the
traditional.
problem is that a large Muslim population found their way to Dearborn, and
Yeah.
a lot of them came there from a number of Arab countries in the Middle East to find work, especially in the auto industry.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how they became more and more popular,
Mm-hmm.
supporting, they want Sharia law, they want all of these extreme measures.
Mm-hmm.
And so far they haven't gotten them, but that's where that strong
Mm-hmm.
political power comes from.
Mm-hmm.
All of the members of the Islam community and
Mm-hmm.
and others,
Mm-hmm.
much like we're seeing in Minneapolis and in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Right, right.
certain cities, because of the industries that they had and because of the way their immigrants came to those countries, that became more and more popular to Muslim immigrants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a history.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tom, talking about the immigration, we see that the immigration, especially from a Muslim country, has trying to change our community, try to change our law.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
been the problem is that, almost all of the other, if you take Latin America, for South America, Mexico, the
Right.
Caribbean, all the way down in
Right.
South America,
Right.
that they were predominantly Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And Catholic lined up more with American values. So when
Right.
they came to the United States, they were their mission as immigrants when they came was to assimilate, to
Mm-hmm.
become Americans,
Mm-hmm.
not the other way around. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
we've seen with these Muslim populations is they come in, and we're seeing it here. We see it in Europe, England, Ireland, several other
Everywhere.
countries.
Yep.
We see them go into the country and basically tell the local population, we don't care about your thousands of years of
Of the tradition.
Judeo-Christian values.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to assimilate to that. We want you to assimilate. We want Sharia law. We want you to become like us. And we're going to, mess with your system to achieve that. And that's kind of what we've seen here um, with Muslim communities in places like Dearborn, where they're more concentrated. or
Mm-hmm.
Minneapolis, where the population, is more concentrated. And so that's been the problem here is they don't want to assimilate and be Americans. They want Americans to stop being Americans, stop
Mm-hmm.
supporting American institutions, whether it be the presidency, the Congress, the courts.
So
And
how could why we allow that happen?
because we allow free speech. We allow, you're allowed so many freedoms in the US that they don't have those unlimited freedoms in these other countries. So they
Mhm.
come here and decide, hey, this is America. We can do what we want. We
So,
can't
Tom,
convince them.
do you think it's a suicide to us?
Absolutely, in the long run.
Yeah.
But it's also suicide. And I don't want to put all the blame on the Muslim community. I want to
Mm-hmm.
put a lot of the blame on our young people, our educational system, our own systems in the United States that don't teach how socialism works or what communism means or what Sharia law means
Mm-hmm.
or these very, very strict Muslim laws.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have young people growing up that don't know what it is and don't, up till now, don't care.
It's like in America, it's a free country, and you have A1, freedom of speech, freedom of sampling, freedom of the religion, which is right and which is great, which is American become America. But in the same time, American people, especially the voters, need to have the idea about what the Muslim is, what the communist is, what the socialism
Well, that's
is.
true. How are they going to get those? How are they going to learn that? If the media doesn't teach it, if our
Mm-hmm,
schools, especially universities, don't teach it, if
mm-hmm,
you don't see any of these major history, civics, geography courses
mm-hmm,
taught, I can remember when I was in school,
mm-hmm,
we had those courses starting in about sixth or seventh grade
mm-hmm,
about the U.S. system and about the rest of the world and how it worked here and what it meant.
mm-hmm,
And, you look at the students that are in school now, they're not getting that. Unless
mm-hmm.
they're going to a Catholic school or a Jewish school, they're
Mm-hmm.
not getting that. The
Mm-hmm.
public schools aren't teaching it.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's just like J.F. Kennedy, you said that people learn from history. The only one thing people learn from history is people learn nothing from history. They have to experience that by themselves, which is not smart at all.
No.
Yeah, and well, thank you, Tom, for mentioning that, and then also talk about the Comey's case, the former FBI director. And this case is a highly significant. It should give us an insight into the process made in holding people accountable since the new AG took the office. And right now, I think Comey faces two charges, one for the threat to President Trump, and one for the origin commercial violation over his May 2025 Instagram post 8647. So this is the code of political violence. And so, Tom, can you please analyze this case for us a little bit? And especially if everything goes as expected, what do you think the final outcomes of this case might be?
Well, I'm not optimistic of this case
Mm-hmm.
because I think that, the seashells that he cited, that,
Yeah,
you know,
8647.
8647, or, whatever he put on the beach, I think a lot of members of the jury may look at that and say, so what? What does that mean? Who cares? So I think it's not as open and shut as if he had sent a message to somebody, let's get him, let's take him out. He needs
Uh-huh.
to die.
Mm-hmm.
And he may have those sentiments, but it may not be clear that he was expressing a policy of let's kill Trump.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Now, some people may look at it and say, yeah, that looks like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
But is it strong enough to actually say, okay, he's going to be convicted of that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now,
So,
I think that the current Department of Justice under Todd Blanche, I think if they see if they see a possibility to prosecute Comey, seriously prosecute him, I think he'll take it.
mm-hmm. But seems like the case is not that strong. Is that what you feel?
Well, yeah, I think it's a little bit ambiguous to the general population of what exactly did Comey mean
Mm-hmm.
and how did he mean it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's not
Now,
that clear.
Comey did enough other evil things along the
Right.
way,
Uh-huh.
regardless of expressing his hatred or dislike or disrespect for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he also, he and the FBI were behind the whole Russian collusion case.
Right.
So back in the beginning of the Trump administration, to say that Trump was an agent of Russia,
Mm-hmm.
he was an agent of Putin, and
Mm-hmm.
all of that, and there's no evidence of it. So serious investigations of that were negative. They were never able to prove that Putin was supporting Trump or that Trump wanted his support.
Right.
And yet, we fought that for how many years?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
3 years of investigations and accusations against Trump, and he
Mm-hmm.
was an agent of the Russian government.
Mm-hmm.
None of that was true.
Mm-hmm. So for that, can we charge Comey for lying to the public?
Well, again, I think it would be kind of ambiguous. We know he lied, but and how many times he took the Fifth Amendment and how many times he did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if the public's going to look at that and say, no question about it, Comey was evil and he did bad things and everything he tried to do to Trump was wrong and
Mm-hmm.
he should be punished and held accountable. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's going to prevail.
Hmm. The evidence is there, and I think the evidence is good enough, or it's enough evidence that shows that Comey already did many things that illegal, which can be charged. So what's the difficult of this case for charging Comey or hold him accountable?
I think to prove that, that he knew what he was doing and he had these bad intentions against Trump and that he was lying and
Mm-hmm.
and what he did with the FBI and then the next director after him. We've
Mm-hmm.
gone through went through 10 years of a corrupted FBI by the politicians, by the political leaders,
Mm-hmm.
uh, especially Comey and Christopher Wray.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember being on CNN almost 3, 4 days a week
Mm-hmm.
during that time, especially when Christopher Wray, some of the things he said, and I went on the air and said he's lying.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's flat out lying. That's not
Mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't seem to matter. And
Mm-hmm.
now the return of the FBI is happening now under, Cash Patel. And we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing now where some of these bad actors are being held accountable, where the investigations are being successful that should
Mm-hmm.
have been going on over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So so hopefully the era of corrupting the FBI with the politics,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that's over. And I hope it stays over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And for the Russian Gate, one of the worst case in American history, and I think Comey is a sample of this case. If we cannot hold Comey accountable, how can we hold Hillary Clinton? How can we hold
Well, we haven't. That's the
yeah.
point.
So
We didn't hold Hillary accountable for anything.
right,
We didn't
right.
hold any of that, the previous Democrats that were corrupted for
Mm-hmm.
anything. So
Mm-hmm.
then along comes Comey supporting Clinton.
Right.
And, and a lot of speculation was that he was hoping to maybe eventually be a Supreme Court justice or something like that if Hillary became
Mm-hmm.
uh, president.
Mm-hmm.
That could be.
Yeah.
But she was never held accountable for anything.
Right.
All
So
the felonies that she committed.
Right. So it's give people a very wrong impression or idea that some people are above the law, which is
Yeah,
not.
some people at certain times in certain administrations, when the politics is a certain way, they
Right.
will be above the law. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
true.
But the time will end, and I thank you so much for precisely say that some people in some time under some administration were above the law, but not always, not forever.
Right.
So we'll see and we'll
Well, the
wait.
question is when they get to the point where they're not being held above the law, has too
Mhm.
much time gone by to
Right.
bring a successful prosecution? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the other way Americans look at it. Well, Hillary Clinton, that's, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets to be 4, 6, 8, 10 years in the past, the
Mm-hmm.
public get to a point where, well, we want to know right now who's
Mm-hmm.
doing damage right now that we
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right, right. And how about Christopher Wray? Do you think he's going to be the second one?
my personal opinion,
Mm-hmm.
hope so. I hope so because, and I'm totally biased. I'll admit that to your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Totally biased because 30 years in the FBI,
Good. Yeah.
I could
Mm-hmm.
never have told you anybody that worked with me, worked under me, worked
Mm-hmm.
above me. I could never have told you who they were going to vote for, who they supported.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely, the politics of that was divorced from us. Even
Right.
me as a senior executive coming out, couldn't have
Mm-hmm.
told you that.
Sure.
So, so to see the damage that was done by Christopher Wray, Comey before him, I
Mm-hmm.
think to me the damage they did to the FBI is sinful in our system to
Mm-hmm.
do what they did, and I
Mm-hmm.
think uh, for personal glory, whatever their motive was. But what the damage they did to the FBI after years and years of building up a reputation, and I looked at it, the reason I'm so against them is during the 30 years I was in the FBI, our investigations were unbiased. We investigated Republicans, we investigated Democrats, didn't matter. If the
Mm-hmm.
if the basis of a crime was there, we went after it.
Right.
And and
Other
then to
now.
see what they did to try, because basically motivated by their hatred of Trump
Mm-hmm.
and their desire to get ahead, to
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
directors of the FBI or to be Supreme Court justices or whatever it might be,
Mm-hmm.
uh, political motivations. And
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that during the time I was in the Bureau, we didn't have that. We
Mm-hmm.
had completely unbiased. We
Mm-hmm.
put Republicans in jail, we put Democrats in
Sure.
jail.
Sure.
We went by the crime. If they were committing crimes
Mm-hmm.
and we established the evidence, we
Mm-hmm.
went after them. And that included support from the Department of Justice.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is a huge fundamental change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you mentioned that one of the main reason is they just hate Trump. Both Comey, he put 8647, how badly he hate Trump, and
Yeah.
also Christopher Wray, and also we see so many people from establishment just hate Trump so much. Um, so, do you think why they hate Trump so much? I actually don't understand why.
Well,
Because
because he doesn't give in to their politics or their evilness, and I think that the fact that Trump is so independent and he thinks so independently
Mhm,
that he doesn't play ball with the regime or, oh, whoever's in charge right now, I'm gonna, beholden to them and all of that. He's not. And he hasn't been for a long time. And there's a lot of control on this country that
mhm,
most people don't even know about. A lot of
mhm,
it coming out of London. The
yeah,
banks in London, the insurance companies in London have had huge amount of control,
mhm,
controlling the shipping in the Strait of Hormuz in
mhm,
Iran, all of
mhm,
that. And I think Trump has basically said, no, 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 we're not going to go by your uh,
oh,
requirements anymore because you want it. We're going to be independent. We're going to be a free country like we're
mhm,
supposed to be.
mhm,
And I think that they resent it. And
mhm,
whether it's Democrats mostly resent it,
mhm,
but enough Republicans resent it that that's made it difficult for him along the way.
Mhm. Well, thank you for mentioning about London, which actually it play a huge role in the world and in American situation here. Is that because they lost to us in independent war and then they want actually in some way to gain control of America, of the world? Is that what they want?
I think no, they already had control over, through insurance and banking and all of that they've had this kind of control for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's, everyone has kind of gone along with that
Mm-hmm.
until now, until Trump comes along. Says, no, 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 we're not going to put up with that.
So
And
then
that,
what
and
Trump,
that's why they hate him, because
right.
he stood up to him.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like that we play well and up to Trump. So Trump is like independent, real independent person does not want to listen to London. So is there any reason that he against London rule so much?
Well, Trump knows business. He knows what they're doing. He knows how they're controlling, the economies, especially Europe, and trying to be over us
Mm-hmm.
with that kind of economic power. And so that's why he stands up to them, and they don't want it. And he's basically the globalism that's been going on now for decades. Trump
Right,
has pretty much defeated it
right.
by himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the effects of that for the US economy are huge.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, well, that's very interesting. Interesting part you mentioned about London's rule of the whole situation. So London wants to control America. Just put it very simple way, and America before Trump, everything is okay with the control from London, and up to date that Trump get out and he said no, we want become America,
Right.
America first. Um, so it seems like London is still have their like a kingdom thoughts that they are the king of the world. Is that fair to say that?
Yeah, that they can control it through the economies. And,
Mm-hmm.
much of the economy, like the insurance, for all of those tanker ships that go through the Strait of Hormuz, they
Mm-hmm.
need insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And the insurance comes from London,
Mm-hmm.
or it's Lloyd's of London or some of the other major
Mm-hmm.
insurance companies. They're London-based companies.
Mm-hmm.
And, and part of that, kickbacks to the regime in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So these tanker companies pay money to the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
They pay it back to Iran, and then those ships are allowed to go through the strait, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
They paid,
Mm-hmm.
they paid their dues. They paid their the equivalent of a toll. And Trump is saying no more. We're not
Well,
going to have
so
that anymore.
so the big boss is in London. So
Yeah.
that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Um, Yeah, so one thing is when China take over Hong Kong, UK did not say anything. So start from there. Lots of people just feel confused about the London's attitude because London should say something about China took over Hong Kong at 2019. Instead, they keep silent. They saw everything happen in Hong Kong and then they just keep quiet and let
I
China.
think they thought that things would stay the same economically,
Mhm.
even though administratively Hong Kong went back to China in 1997. I
Mhm.
was, I was in Beijing 3 days after, China took over Hong Kong,
Uh-huh.
and they were very happy. It's going to be business as usual
Mm-hmm.
with China controlling Hong Kong.
Uh-huh. But then things changed. 2019. The whole thing changed, the whole story changed. And I think Hong Kong is really different than 1997. After 1997, for 30 years, I think everything is okay.
Yeah.
Business is still going on. But after 2019, things changed. But that's another story. So because of the London, because of the role of London, so maybe we can consider the situation right now here in America is a second independence war. the first time is independent from the king. The second time we have the independent wall to London is we're gonna have our economic independent. We will gain that back. Do you think it's fair to say that? Put it
Yeah,
that way?
I think.
Great, great. Well, so do you have anything that you think is kind of important people need to pay attention in this week or the coming week?
There's a lot to pay attention. There's so many things going on.
Okay, yeah, tell me about that.
And I think that, right now, the tactics of the US right now, Trump is basically saying, we don't need to bomb Iran into the Stone Age. We don't need to have this kinetic
Hmm.
warfare going on,
Hmm.
but we can defeat them economically and
Hmm.
make it impossible for anybody to really be an ally of Iran. We'll punish them, which is
Hmm.
basically the announcement Scott Bessent made today, is that if you're supporting China, you're going to pay a price. I mean, China or other countries are supporting Iran,
Hmm.
we're going to punish you, basically.
Hmm.
And I think that, what they're hoping is that at some point soon, I hope they want it to be soon, that
Hmm.
Iran basically says, okay, enough,
Hmm.
enough, no mas.
Hmm.
We don't want more. And I
Hmm.
think that, we'll see at what point that comes. The big part of that is that the IRGC's control in Iran,
That's a.
taking over the government, basically, uh, the mullahs pretty much don't matter anymore. The
Hmm.
parliament, the other entities of government in Iran have been rendered impotent,
Hmm.
basically, by the IRGC.
Hmm.
And so how long are they going to be able to do that? Now, I've seen several videos on the internet recently on YouTube
Hmm.
showing that the demonstrations in Iran on the street are starting up again, like we
Right.
saw
That's.
months ago.
Uh-huh.
And that could be, right now there's not much coverage of that, but
Hmm.
that could be a huge issue. And the huge issue has been, by the way, to keep an eye on, will we be able to secretly get weaponry?
See, I think it's Tom has just got this disconnected. Let's see. Can you still see me? Hello, Tom. I think Tom some connection issue. I think he's gonna come back. Um, sorry about that. Let's wait for Tom, and Tom is talking about the um the Iran wall. And right now, he's is very confident or very happy to see there is a demonstrate in on the street again, which an American wish that Iran people can get up and to turn out the regime by themselves. Hello, Tom. Hello, Tom. I'm sorry, Tom. You. Oh,
Okay.
great, great, great.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for coming back. We're just talking about some very important thing, and then all of a sudden it's disconnected. So, do you like to say it again on where you disconnected?
yeah. What was I talking about?
Talk about people just go back to the street again.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
so far the big question is, and one of the things I'm wondering about personally is that all over the world since the 1940s, the CIA has affected regime change,
Mhm.
changes of government, brought arms to the people to help them do the
Mhm.
CIA's bidding. And so I'm wondering now, the big issue is, where are the Kurds? because normally in this situation, we would be giving guns and weapons and equipment to the Kurds to stage their own coup internally. Obviously supported by U.S. intelligence and Israeli intelligence, maybe British intelligence, although it's hard to say whose side they're really on anymore. But I think that's I'm waiting to see that suddenly the people in the streets of Iran that have been getting gunned down now for the last couple of years return fire against the regime.
Right.
And convince IRGC members that if you want to survive, help us out, basically.
So maybe it's just it's happening right now. I think it's going to take time, take effort to do so. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a lot. There's a lot of we'll see going on right now in Iran. And I think the big we'll see in my mind is the average citizen hates their regime, would like it changed. They've demonstrated against it. They've been shot down in the street because of supporting regime change. So now, will they finally be in a position to do something? Will our CIA and Israeli Mossad and maybe the United Kingdom MI6, what are they doing behind the scenes that we don't see? And when is that going to be, become visible?
Right. Yeah. It's thank you, Tom. I think it's very important to put the UK into the pictures. It's so important, and then they play a big role, but really on the dark. So people normally cannot see them, but they are there and very important parts of the whole game. So next week we'll see some big news about the action, the economic action, and see the result. And also people of Iran, how they're going there, how they're come up to against their own regime. I think this is, yes, very, very important. And sometimes it's the key to turn out the regime. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry about the disconnection. I don't know what happened here, but
I don't know.
Thank you so much. And I'll translate into Chinese as soon as possible. And then I'll see you next week, Tom.
See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.